Okay, now let's move on to this Boss Extrude 2. Boss Extrude 2 is just a cylinder on the end of the yoke, and that was created by sketching a circle on the inside flat. That's tricky enough that maybe it deserves a closer look. In this case, I click on this face and start a new sketch here. Then I'll start a circle, and I'm going to be careful to pick up as many automatic relations here as I can. The first automatic relation is putting the center of the circle on the midpoint of this edge, and then I'll drag it out so that the circumference of the circle is at the end of the edge. So that should create for me a fully defined circle whose size and position is governed by the existing geometry. It doesn't use any dimensions in this case. From here, an extruded feature was created where all the material is added in one direction. The cut extrude is a circle centered on the original boss and just cut through all. Fillets are generally added at the end of the feature manager, but one thing you will learn about SOLIDWORKS is that you can't really create any rules that apply 100% of the time. So this is not the end of the feature manager, but we're starting to create some fillets anyway. This first fillet was used to just round out the corners of the rectangle. Yes, it's true, we could have gone back to the original sketch for this and sketched in these rounded corners. I find the fewer fillets you have in sketches, the more likely it is that you're going to avoid problems. So I like to put fillets on as features rather than into the sketch. Let's see what fillet 6 is about. And fillet 6 is a fillet that's larger than the thickness of the edge that it goes onto. So if we double click on this cut, we see that the thickness is 30 thousandths of an inch. And if we double click on the fillet, we see that the fillet is 1/10 of an inch. So the fillet is spilling over, and you can see that it's not a complete 90-degree round. Let's take a look at what happens when we edit the feature. Okay, if we change this to 0.01 and then to 0.1, notice that it's keeping the existing edge from the existing feature. From here, I use the mirror feature. Let's take a look at how the mirror feature works. The mirror feature requires a plane, and then you select several features to mirror. We didn't mirror the entire part because the original boss didn't need to be mirrored. Only this part of the yoke that we created needed to be mirrored. And from here, several fillets are added. Let's take a look at the order of these. If we go down in order, first fillet is up around the pivot points. Second fillet is on the Y. And then third fillet propagates over all of the tangencies from the first two fillets. Next fillet didn't really matter about the order of this one because this doesn't touch any of the other fillets. And the final fillet was the big one that goes on between the end of the arm and the big cylindrical feature. Remember, biggest fillets are generally put on first, but in this case, the biggest fillet went on last. The final feature is the boss extrude that includes the sketch text. I'm going to roll this back just to show you how the sketch text was created. I'll start by opening a sketch on this flat face and then creating a center line. Now, one easy thing for me to do would be to grab the center points of these two arcs on the ends. And I get the center points to highlight just by dragging the cursor over the actual arc. Now, this is an easy way to do it, but it may not be the best way to do it. Making features that reference the edges of fillets is generally a bad idea. In this case, it gets me exactly where I want to go, but it's something that you want to be careful of. This is why fillets are generally put last in the tree, because the fillets can be cosmetic, and if they're changed or turned off, they will cause errors down the road. So now I want to add my sketch text. This construction line is going to be used to put the text on. So I'm going to go to Tools, Sketch Entities, Text, because I don't have the sketch text on my toolbar. And I want to make sure that this construction line goes into the curves dialog. And then with this line selected, I'll pick in the text box, and with caps lock on, type infinite skills. You might notice that the letters filled in the entire length of the line. That's because the fully justify button was on. If I select some other sort of justification, like the default, which is left align, then the text is displayed a little more naturally. With the fully justified option turned on, it's obvious I'm going to need a larger font, and so I'm going to select the text and use the bold option. That doesn't get me where I need to go, so I'm going to need to turn off the Use Document Font and click on the Font button to change the font options. You can use any Windows font that you have installed on your computer, and you can control that in several ways. I'm going to change the height from 0.13 to 0.3, and that fills up the space I have available nicely. You can also use these controls to flip the text horizontally if you have to make text that's backwards, or you can flip the text along the line that you've selected, and this works even if it's a curve. So let's set this back where it needs to be. You can rotate individual letters or a group of letters using the rotate command, and the bold and italic work as they do in normal text editing applications. The Link to Property option allows you to drive the sketch text with a custom property. We'll talk more about custom properties later. Once you're satisfied that everything is to your liking, just click on the green check. And the next step is to extrude the sketch text into solid geometry. We take a look at this from the side. We can see the letters stick out a little bit. And in real-world applications for castings and plastic parts, the letters don't have to stick out very far in order to be seen. You can also use draft, and we'll set that to 3 degrees in this case. And now we're satisfied with that, so I'll click on the green check. You can zoom out to see the overall effect on the part. But if we spin around to see the other side of the part, we notice that there's another indentation over here that needs some text. But we can't just mirror the text that we just created, or it will show up backwards. So I'm going to show you 2 different methods that you can use to get this text on the other side. The first step will be common to both methods. So what I'm going to do is on the top plane, open a sketch and set the view to wireframe. That allows me to see down into the part. And I'm going to use a center line. Look for the midpoint of the inset edge, and then I'll pull that partially across. Now, to do this accurately, I'm going to have to zoom in because there's some other geometry here that might interfere with my automatic relations. I'll turn off the centerline tool, grab this endpoint, and just drag it over. Again, be careful not to pick up an automatic relation to any of the edges of the sketch text. That will cause an error. Now, with that line across here, I'm going to add a sketch entity that's not on my toolbar, and that's the sketch point. You can find the sketch point under the Tools menu, under Sketch Entities, Point. I'm going to bring that over the construction line and click at the midpoint. With that in place, I'll exit the sketch, and now I can create an axis that will establish the center of the inset area halfway between the 2 insets where it needs to be. To do that, I'll use the drop-down from the reference geometry, select Axis, select this point I just created, and then use the Flyout Feature Manager to select the top plane. SOLIDWORKS automatically picks up the point and face or plane option, which it knows is what I want to use. The axis will be perpendicular to the plane at that point. And from here, I'm going to create a circular pattern. I can select the feature directly from the feature manager, and you can see in the preview that it's showing up in the correct location. If you change the view back to shaded with edges, we can see that that worked out just the way we want it to. Now, I said I was going to show you two methods to do this, so let's take a look at the second. First thing I'm going to do is to roll back this circular pattern that we just created, and then I'm going to edit the feature where we created the solid sketch text. In the property manager of this feature, I'm going to uncheck merge result. This is checked on by default, and what it does is it merges any solid that you create with the existing solid. Once that's off, I'll hit OK. And now if we look at the solid bodies folder at the top of the tree, you'll see that you have a separate solid body for each letter. We can use this to our advantage now, because I'll create another circular pattern. And this time I'll use the axis again. And I'm not going to use the features to pattern. I'm not going to use the faces to pattern, but I am going to use the bodies to pattern. And the easiest way to do this is to select either the first or the last body and then shift select the other body so you get the entire range. That's just a Windows selection method that you can use here in SOLIDWORKS. And make sure that we've got the axis selected. Okay, now you can see we've got the preview correct, but we got a problem, and that's every letter on the part is a separate body. So let's again do this mass selection where we select the last one and shift select the first one in the list. In fact, we want all of them, so we'll just go all the way to the top. And then insert, features, combine. The combine tool allows you to either add or subtract or find the intersection between existing solids. This is commonly known as a Boolean operation, but here we're just using it to combine everything into a single solid body. We'll learn more about multi-body modeling in a later lesson. Once you have everything selected, just click on the green check. And now you should be left with a single solid body and all of your letters in the correct place.